When the real daughter returned, she used every trick she could to push me out. She slapped herself and claimed I hit her. She intentionally fell down the stairs and said I pushed her. She smothered her pet cat and blamed me for it. But what she didn't know was that there were cameras all over the house. Every single one of her actions was seen by the whole family. Chapter 1. Slap. A heavy slap echoed through the living room. Jessica, with tears streaming down her face, looked at me pitifully. Sis, I didn't mean to spill water on your clothes. Why did you hit me? At that moment, I saw my adoptive parents return from outside. I've always known I was adopted. Years ago, when Jessica was kidnapped, my adoptive parents couldn't cope with the loss of their beloved daughter. So they adopted me, a girl around Jessica's age, from an orphanage. My adoptive parents treated me very well, and I've always been grateful to them. So when Jessica was finally found, I sincerely wanted to be good to her. But on the first day we met, when our parents weren't paying attention, she whispered harshly in my ear, "Regina, you stole 18 years of my life. I will do everything I can to drive you out of this house and take back what's mine." I was stunned, staring at her innocent and pitiful face. Moments earlier, she had told our parents she would treat me like her own sister. I even started to doubt if I had heard her correctly. Oh, right. At that moment, I was wearing a Bluetooth earbud, hidden by my long hair. I was on the phone with my brother, who was away on a business trip and hadn't returned yet. I think even my brother was shocked by Jessica's words because he didn't say anything for a long time. However, we both chose to stay silent about it, thinking that Jessica had just returned to the family and was understandably feeling insecure. But I didn't expect that the very next day, Jessica would really start causing trouble. I was sitting on the couch watching TV. Jessica was there too, but she seemed distracted. I asked her what show she liked, but she didn't answer. I offered her some fruit, but she ignored me. The only thing she asked was, "When do Mom and Dad get off work?" I replied, "Around 6 o'clock. I thought it was normal for her to miss them, having just returned home. But as soon as the clock struck 6, she suddenly threw a cup of tea on me. Shocked, I jumped up from the couch, not knowing how to react. Then I heard a slap. Jessica had slapped herself in the face. I was just about to say, "It's just some water on my clothes. No need to apologize so dramatically." I heard her say just one sentence, twisting the truth. "What's going on?" My adoptive parents rushed over, concerned. "It's not my sister's fault." Jessica looked at our adoptive parents, then glanced at me, her voice full of grievance. "It's my fault. I accidentally spilled water on her clothes, and that's why she slapped me. Her clothes are so pretty. They must be expensive." Chapter 2. My adoptive parents frowned. They raised me, and they probably know me better than I know myself. They wouldn't believe I'd hit someone without reason. But they didn't expose Jessica directly. She had just returned, and they didn't want to embarrass her. Not like me. I've always worn hand-me-downs. Never anything new, and definitely never something as nice as my sister's clothes. Jessica, seeing that they hadn't come to her defense, continued pitifully. My adoptive mother glanced subtly at the discreet security cameras in the house and said, "Tomorrow, Mom will take you shopping for new clothes. Regina, your clothes are wet. Go change so you don't catch a cold." I saw the satisfied smile on Jessica's face. I didn't say anything, just nodded and obediently went to my room. As soon as I finished changing, my adoptive mother knocked and came in. "Regina, your dad and I reviewed the security footage. Jessica was in the wrong." I already knew there were cameras in the house, so I didn't need to explain anything earlier. But Jessica, having just returned, was clearly unaware of them. After all, she had been kidnapped and raised in a remote mountain village as a child bride. In her understanding of the world, she couldn't imagine a house being equipped with such high-tech devices. Jessica just came back. She might be struggling a bit mentally. My adoptive mother trailed off, unsure of how to explain it. My adoptive parents were kind people, and nothing like this had ever happened in our harmonious family before. Jessica's behavior was a shock to them. "Mom, I understand. Once Jessica feels secure in this family, she won't act this way anymore," I said understandingly. My adoptive mother pulled me into a hug, genuinely saying, "You're such a good child." After she left, Jessica walked into my room. Smugly, she said, "Did Mom scold you badly?" Chapter 3. I really wanted to tell her that there were cameras in the house and everyone saw everything, but before I could say anything, Jessica spoke again. "If you're smart, you'll leave on your own. Stop clinging to this house, using our money, and taking our things. Let me tell you, there can only be one daughter in this family. And that's me. Whether I stay or leave is up to Mom and Dad, not you," I said, starting to get angry. I held back my frustration and kindly added, "Jessica, Mom and Dad won't love you any less because of me. We can live together peacefully as a family." "We're not family. Stop flattering yourself," Jessica spat back. "You're just a parentless orphan. Why do you get to live in this nice house, wear these nice clothes, and receive a good education? You should suffer everything I went through in those 18 years. You being kidnapped wasn't my fault," I said, exasperated by her twisted logic. Just because she was resentful, she needed someone to take it out on? I don't care if it's your fault or not. All I know is you took what was mine, and you deserve nothing good in return, Jessica retorted stubbornly. I had no more words. If she was so set on destroying herself, then let her. In fact, I was curious to see how far she could take this. I really wanted to see what expression she would have when she realized her clever schemes had been watched by the whole family. My adoptive mother took Jessica shopping at the mall, but I didn't go. It was my choice not to go. I knew Jessica didn't like me, and I didn't want to make her uncomfortable, but Jessica thought that my mother had punished me for hitting her yesterday by not letting me go, which only made her even more smug. She returned with bags upon bags, flaunting them in front of me. "Mom treats me so well. She bought me all the best things. I didn't even know a bag could cost over 50,000 yuan. Jessica waved a Chanel bag in my face. "And these shoes? They cost more than 10,000 yuan. I've never worn such expensive shoes before." "Oh, Mom, I love you so much," Jessica cooed, acting as if she were complimenting our mom but really just trying to provoke me. I felt no reaction at all. In fact, it was my adoptive mother who seemed uncomfortable as she watched Jessica show off. She turned to me and said, "Regina, is there anything you're missing? I can take you shopping tomorrow." "No need. I have everything I need. Thank you, Mom." I had never asked my adoptive parents for luxury items, even though they were wealthy. I knew they worked hard for their money and didn't want to waste it. Anyway, don't be too polite with Mom. You will always be her daughter, and you'll always be my mom, I said firmly. I have never doubted the love my adoptive parents have for me, whether Jessica is back or not. Feelings are meant to be mutual. I treat my adoptive parents sincerely, and they respond with the same sincerity. But Jessica doesn't understand that. She can't comprehend it. She watched as I shared a tender moment with my adoptive mother, and her expression changed noticeably. But the next moment, she cheerfully said, "Sis, let's go to the room. I want to show you my new clothes." I could tell Jessica had ulterior motives, but to avoid putting my adoptive parents in an awkward position, I agreed. As we walked upstairs together, we were halfway up the stairs when suddenly, Jessica tumbled down from beside me. At that moment, my brother Paul had just arrived home from his trip. He walked in just in time to see Jessica fall down the stairs, landing flat on her face. Lying on the ground, she cried out in pain, accusing me. "Sis, why did you push me?" Chapter 4. Our whole family just stood there, watching Jessica lying on the ground. For a long moment, no one reacted. It was Jessica herself who finally realized she was being ignored and cried out again. "It hurts. My whole body hurts. Quick, let's get her to the hospital. Paul, hurry up. Take Jessica to the hospital." My adoptive mother snapped back to her senses and instructed. Paul quickly lifted Jessica from the floor, and the whole family accompanied her to the hospital. All the way there, Jessica kept crying, saying the pain was unbearable. After a full-body checkup at the hospital, it turned out she wasn't injured at all. Then Jessica claimed she felt dizzy. The doctor, slightly reluctant, said, "It might be a mild concussion. If you're really worried, she can stay overnight for observation." Hearing this, Jessica played up the act even more. So, my adoptive father went ahead and completed the hospital admission process. The whole family stayed with her at the hospital. Sis, why did you push me earlier? Lying on the hospital bed, Jessica asked me tearfully, her face filled with grievance. Do you not want me to come home? Is it because Mom only bought clothes for me today and not for you? If you like, I'll give you all of mine. Please don't hate me, okay? I was honestly stunned by her manipulative words. Before I could explain anything, Paul had already had enough. I saw you fall down the stairs by yourself. Brother, do you really think I'm falsely accusing my sister? Jessica's tears fell like pearls, one after another. Do you not like me either? I just came back, and my sister has lived with you for 18 years. Of course, you're closer to her. What does it matter if I'm your real sister? Jessica, Paul's face darkened. The amount of time we've spent together doesn't matter. I'm just stating the facts. The camera's at home. If you don't want me here, you can just send me back to my old home. Jessica sobbed. Even though I was beaten there, covered in bruises, worked all day long, and had chilblains in the winter and heat rashes in the summer, at least they welcomed me. With that, Jessica attempted to get out of bed, as if to leave. But as soon as she stepped off the bed, she pretended to be weak and nearly fainted. However, no one moved to help her, because we all knew she had fallen down the stairs on her own. While Jessica was getting her checkup, our father had already reviewed the footage on the home security app. It clearly showed everything. When Jessica realized no one was going to support her, she leaned on the edge of the bed, looking as if she could collapse at any moment. You should all just forget about me. Once I go back to that house, I'll probably get married and have kids. After that, I'll never be able to leave the mountains for the rest of my life. Jessica cried as she spoke. Enough. Stop pretending. We've seen everything you've done. Paul remained unmoved, even showing signs of frustration. But our adoptive mother, being soft-hearted, couldn't help but feel sympathetic hearing Jessica's words. Paul, stop it. Jessica just got back and isn't fully familiar with our family yet, so she feels insecure. Let's give her more time. While calming Paul, our mother helped Jessica back into bed. Jessica, we're a family. You and Regina are both my daughters. We won't treat you any differently just because you've only recently returned. You're both equal to us. My mother gently reassured her. Jessica threw herself into our mother's arms and broke down into loud sobs. Mom, please don't abandon me. I don't want to go back to being beaten and scolded. I'll let my sister have everything from now on. Just please don't stop loving me. Chapter 5. I watched as Paul's expression grew darker and darker, hearing Jessica's words. He was at a loss for words, beyond exasperation. But because our adoptive mother kept signaling him to stop, Paul didn't expose her. It wasn't that our mother was blindly protecting Jessica. She simply felt guilty. Hearing about Jessica's tragic experiences made her feel compassion. So she wanted to preserve Jessica's dignity. She didn't want Jessica to feel like an outcast in her own home after finally being reunited with the family. Our mother was acting for the sake of family harmony, trying to keep everyone at peace and filled with love. But in Jessica's mind, she probably didn't see it that way. She would likely interpret it as our mother favoring her. Our mother stayed behind at the hospital to accompany Jessica. I left with my adoptive father and Paul. While our mother walked us to the hospital entrance, she took my hand and said, Regina, I'm sorry you had to go through this. I'll talk to Jessica and help her understand. Don't worry. No matter what, this won't affect our love for you. It's okay. I also hope Jessica can truly accept me. I responded obediently, even though I no longer had a positive impression of Jessica. I understood my adoptive parents' intentions. Should we tell Jessica about the cameras in the house? I can't stand her manipulative and pretentious behavior, Paul said, still angry. It was clear that Paul had no affection for his biological sister. After hearing what Jessica had said on the phone that day, a wedge had already formed in his heart. Today's incident only worsened his opinion of her, completely shattering any expectations he may have had. Let's not tell her for now, our adoptive father said. If we tell her now, Jessica won't be able to handle it. She's just come back, and we should show her more care and help her truly accept us. Besides, we don't know what kind of person Jessica really is. With the cameras, we can observe her behavior and correct her mistakes when necessary. He added, Our mother agreed with this viewpoint. Paul didn't press the issue, he just said, "I'd also like to see what other outrageous stunts Jessica can pull." It was obvious he was ready to watch the drama unfold. Since Paul no longer felt guilty about Jessica, he wasn't going to tolerate her antics like our adoptive parents did. Jessica just got back, so let's all try to be nice to her, our adoptive mother said with a sigh. She's probably acting this way toward Regina because she feels insecure. Once she realizes that we won't love her any less, she'll be able to accept Regina. My adoptive parents are kind people who always assume the best in others. Since they raised me, I also agreed with their perspective, believing that with time, Jessica would improve. So after that, we all tried to be as good to Jessica as possible. We gave her anything she asked for, to make Jessica feel less resistant toward me. My adoptive parents and Paul even intentionally acted a little distant toward me when she was around. We thought that by doing this, Jessica would fully accept the family and stop harboring resentment toward me. On the surface, Jessica did seem friendlier. She would always call me sister with a smile, but only I knew how she behaved behind the scenes, taking advantage of every opportunity. She didn't believe that our adoptive parents were being kinder to her because they wanted her to feel part of the family. She thought it was because her brilliant performance had succeeded in driving a wedge between me and them. Proudly, she would flaunt this in front of me, even going so far as to say, "Regina, I'm going to kick you out of this house for good soon." Chapter 6. I didn't argue with Jessica, nor did I feel compelled to keep trying to reason with someone who was so hostile toward me. If she wanted to go down a self-destructive path, she was welcome to it. If she ended up humiliating herself, she would deserve it. One day, Jessica suddenly said she wanted to get a pet. Tearfully, she told a heart-wrenching story about how, in her old life, she had bonded with a small cat. She said that every time she was beaten or scolded by that family, the cat would stay by her side, comforting her and stopping her from taking her own life. With the atmosphere that heavy, it would have felt wrong for our adoptive parents to refuse her request. In reality, both my adoptive father and Paul have severe allergies to furry animals, and they would sneeze non-stop around them. But to please Jessica, they still bought her a beautiful blue-eyed ragdoll cat named Ketty. Once Ketty arrived, Jessica carried the cat everywhere, treating it with endless affection and care. My adoptive parents were deeply moved to see how caring Jessica was toward the cat. Although they tried not to hold a grudge about the things she had done to me, it still bothered them a little. Now, seeing her act so lovingly toward the pet, they believed Jessica was fundamentally a good person. They thought her behavior stemmed from feeling insecure in a new environment. In time, once she became more familiar with the family, she would fully accept not only them but also me. However, neither Paul nor I shared our parents' optimism. Paul pulled me aside and whispered, "Watching Jessica with that cat gives me the creeps. Keep an eye on her. I think she's about to stir up trouble again." And Paul was right. Jessica had the cat for about a month. The cat, which had been docile until now, suddenly went wild this morning and attacked me, claws aimed directly at my face. Luckily, I reacted quickly and blocked the cat with my hand, preventing it from scratching my face. But deep claw marks slashed across the back of my hand, leaving a terrifying, bloody wound. My adoptive parents rushed over to see what had happened. Before I could even cry, Jessica was already sobbing uncontrollably. "Sister, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I didn't hold on to Ketty properly, and now it's scratched you. Please don't punish Ketty. If you're angry, blame me." With Jessica crying so dramatically, it was hard to tell who had been injured. My adoptive parents looked at my wound, and they were furious. "Jessica, be quiet. Your sister is the one who's hurt. Why are you crying so loudly?" My adoptive mother said sharply. Jessica was stunned. They had never spoken to her so harshly before. She stammered for a while before saying, "I just feel awful seeing my sister hurt." Ignoring her, my adoptive mother quickly turned to me. "Regina, let's go to the hospital and get your wound cleaned. You'll also need a rabies shot after being scratched by an animal. We can't delay this." I followed her to the hospital, had my wound treated, and got my shots. When we returned home, we found Jessica with swollen eyes from crying. "What's wrong with you?" my adoptive mother asked, feeling a bit sorry for her despite everything. Jessica's eyes welled up with tears again, and she choked out, I feel so bad that my sister got hurt because of me. Regina has been pampered her whole life and probably never experienced this kind of pain. Unlike me, I'm used to getting beaten. I'm sure she's in a lot of pain. And it's all my fault. Chapter 7. As Jessica spoke, she worked hard to squeeze out a couple more tears. Jessica looked weak, helpless, and pitiful. Crocodile tears. Paul suddenly muttered, unable to hold back any longer. He probably couldn't stand Jessica's fake behavior. What did you say, brother? Jessica, lacking much education, didn't understand Paul's remark, but she was clever enough to guess that it wasn't a compliment. Are you blaming me, brother? Blaming me for not taking good care of Ketty, which led to my sister getting scratched. But I didn't want this either. If I had known, I'd have preferred to be the one injured. I'm tough from working on farms all my life. A little injury wouldn't have mattered. I could see Paul was starting to get thoroughly disgusted. Her pretentious words were just humiliating herself in front of someone as sharp as Paul, the tea expert when it comes to fake behaviors. If you're that upset and guilty, why don't you give Ketty away? That way, you won't cry yourself to death next time it scratches someone, Paul said sarcastically. No. Jessica's face collapsed in an instant at the mention of giving Ketty away. Her reaction was so exaggerated that everyone was left staring, stunned. Anyone who didn't know better might have thought she had just lost her parents. No. I quickly stopped myself from thinking such thoughts. I shouldn't curse our adoptive parents. Our adoptive parents were just standing there, dumbfounded by Jessica's over-the-top behavior. I can't live without Ketty. If I lose her, how will I go on? Dad, Mom, brother, sister, you can blame me, punish me, yell at me, whatever you want, but please don't take Ketty away. Don't send her away. Jessica begged dramatically. Finally, my adoptive mother had had enough. That's enough. No one is blaming you, and no one said we'd send Ketty away. Stop crying all the time, she said, clearly irritated. Jessica bit her lip, trying to hold back her sobs. Today was just an accident. Let's leave it at that. But Ketty did scratch Regina, and you've been the one taking care of her, so make sure you train her better. If she scratches anyone again, we will have no choice but to send her away, my adoptive mother said sternly. Yes, I'll make sure to discipline Ketty and prevent her from scratching anyone ever again. Thank you, Mom, for your understanding. Jessica obediently agreed. At that moment, she finally flashed a sweet smile, but her smile also carried a hint of smugness. Later, when no one else was around, Jessica intentionally carried Ketty over to me and asked, Regina, haven't you figured it out yet? I frowned. Figured out what? That she's a pretentious manipulator? Haven't you realized that everyone in this house is on my side? Jessica boasted. So what if my cat scratched you? Not a single person blamed me. I couldn't help but laugh. The fact that no one blamed her was out of kindness and generosity, but she turned it into something to brag about? How twisted is her mind? Regina, if I were you, I'd have the decency to leave the family on my own. Don't you find it shameful to cling here like this? Jessica sneered coldly. She had such a different face when our adoptive parents were around, practically unrecognizable. Chapter 8. I wasn't going to tolerate her anymore. When she first came back, I thought maybe she was just feeling unbalanced after going through so much hardship, and I tried to understand her. But now, after a month or two, with her continuing to make trouble, it was clear that the issue was with her character. Jessica, I didn't impose myself here. Mom and Dad willingly adopted me from the orphanage. They brought me home because they wanted to, not because I forced my way in. I stated clearly, word by word, that's only because I wasn't around. You're just my replacement. Now that I'm back, you should be gone. You weren't here for 18 years. While I've been the one supporting Mom and Dad through their toughest times. Why should you erase everything I've done for this family just because you've returned? What? Do you think your face is bigger than everyone else's? Jessica was left speechless, humiliated by my words. At the end of the day, everything in this house belongs to Mom and Dad. You didn't earn any of it. They never told me to leave. So who are you to tell me what to do? I'm their biological daughter. Everything they have should belong to me. You're using what's rightfully mine. Jessica said, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. I angrily shot back. Mom and Dad worked hard for everything they have. And you want to claim it all without lifting a finger? Don't you think that's the real shamelessness? Enough. Regina. Jessica, unable to argue further, grew furious. I tried to reason with you. But since you won't listen, don't blame me for what happens next. I'll make sure you regret it. You'll be out of here soon enough. Just wait and see. Jessica stormed off after hurling that threat. I didn't let her scare me with her pathetic little tricks. What could she possibly do? Besides, everything she does is caught on the house's security cameras. The more Jessica did, the worse she made herself look. However, this time, I have to say, Jessica truly shattered my understanding of human nature. Early in the morning, the villa was suddenly filled with a piercing scream. It startled everyone. Still half asleep, I, my adoptive parents, and Paul rushed out of our rooms, only to see Jessica sitting on the floor in the downstairs hall, sobbing hysterically. What happened? My adoptive mother asked. Ever since Jessica came back, there hadn't been much peace in the house. I noticed that instead of showing concern, my adoptive parents seemed to be losing patience. Wah! Jessica clutched Keddy, wailing as if she were about to pass out from crying. None of us had any idea what was going on. My adoptive father was getting irritated. Jessica, it's so early in the morning. What are you crying for? You need to tell us what happened so we can understand what's wrong. Jessica was startled by his raised voice. She stopped crying and looked at us with teary eyes, pitiful as ever. What happened? My adoptive father asked again, sternly. Keddy. Keddy is dead. Jessica sobbed, pulling Keddy out from her arms. Chapter 9. That beautiful cat, Keddy, now lay there with wide, frozen blue eyes, not even able to close them in death. Everyone was shocked. Just yesterday, Keddy had been fine. So how could she be dead now? How did it die? My adoptive mother asked urgently. I don't know. When I woke up this morning, I found Keddy lying on the floor. When I picked her up, I realized Keddy wasn't moving anymore. Jessica wailed again. Keddy was so healthy. She couldn't have just died for no reason. Did she eat something bad? My adoptive father speculated. No. Keddy was always so obedient. She never ate anything unless I gave it to her. Jessica insisted. Then how could she just die out of nowhere? My adoptive father was puzzled. Maybe someone killed Keddy on purpose? Jessica suddenly looked horrified. Who would go out of their way to kill a pet cat? My adoptive father didn't think it was possible. But... Jessica stammered, clearly struggling to say what was on her mind. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she hesitated, as if struggling to speak. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush, my adoptive father said impatiently. Yesterday, Keddy scratched my sister. Jessica suddenly shifted the blame onto me, and in that moment, it became clear to everyone exactly what Jessica was trying to do today. Sister, why did you kill Keddy? Without waiting for us to respond, Jessica had already pinned the blame on me. It was wrong of Keddy to scratch you yesterday. But you can't just kill her. She was a living being too. How could you be so cruel? I didn't kill her, I replied calmly, meeting her gaze. Who else could it be? Jessica accused me, her voice rising with emotion. Ever since I came back to this house, you've targeted me at every turn. The first thing you did was slap me across the face. All because I accidentally spilled some water on your clothes. You pushed me down the stairs just because Mom bought me some nice clothes and didn't buy any for you. And now, just because Keddy scratched you, you're so heartless that you killed her. Sister, I've endured all your other abuses. I know you're feeling threatened because I'm back. And you're afraid that Mom, Dad, and Paul will take away their love for you. I understand that. But why would you go after an innocent little life? By the end of her outburst, Jessica seemed on the verge of a complete breakdown. She looked like she was about to cry herself to death at any moment. However, my adoptive parents, Paul, and I all remained cold-faced. Even my usually soft-hearted parents didn't show any sympathy for her. How could they? Jessica might have gotten away with it if she hadn't brought up the past. But now, any trust she once had was completely shattered. Sister, why did you kill Keddy? Why would you be so cruel? Jessica, realizing that no one in the family was siding with her, grew even more agitated. For the last time, I didn't kill Keddy, I repeated firmly. It was you. There's no one else who could have done it. Jessica's tone grew more resolute. Jessica, stop it. Regina would never do something like that. My adoptive mother said firmly, clearly unable to tolerate Jessica's baseless accusations any longer. Even though my mother still held on to a shred of compassion for her, she didn't expose the truth directly. She wanted to spare Jessica from further humiliation, giving her a chance to back down gracefully. Chapter 10. Mom. Jessica looked at my adoptive mother with tear-filled eyes. You, Dad, and Paul told me before I came back that I should get along with my sister. Even though she's not our biological family, she's still part of this family. I listened. I really did. And I truly accepted her. Jessica, my adoptive mother scolded her, trying to stop her from saying more. But Jessica refused to back down. She didn't understand what my adoptive mother meant. She thought my mother was protecting me. And this time, she was determined to push me out of the house. I didn't hold a grudge for all the awful things my sister did to me before. But this time she hurt Keddy, my beloved pet. She took a life. I can't just let that go. Jessica shouted at my adoptive parents. I know this puts you in a difficult position, but from today onward, it's either her or me in this house. My adoptive parents stood there, staring at Jessica with cold, detached expressions, watching her aggression. Not difficult at all, Paul suddenly said, breaking the tension. You can leave. Jessica's eyes widened in shock, as if she couldn't believe what she had just heard. In her mind, my adoptive parents should have been kicking me out, not her. She had never imagined that Paul would so easily tell her to leave. A moment later, she seemed to regain her composure. She turned to Paul and said, Brother, I know you've never liked me. You've always sided with her. I understand that she's been in this family for 18 years. But this is a matter of principle. You shouldn't tolerate her actions. You're absolutely right. This is about principle, and we can't tolerate it any longer. Paul said this while looking directly at my adoptive parents. We've given her too many chances. Hearing Paul's words, Jessica couldn't hide her joy, though she tried to keep herself from smiling, but her face gave her away. I noticed my adoptive parents nodding in agreement. Jessica had indeed worn out their patience. Everyone had gone out of their way to protect her feelings, but she had shown no remorse, only escalating her behavior. When Jessica saw them nod, she thought they had agreed to kick me out. She quickly adopted an innocent tone and said, Sister, don't blame me. Blame yourself for being so cruel. You did something unforgivable just to keep the love of this family all to yourself. Turns out you know it's despicable. Paul sneered coldly. Enough. Jessica, stop pretending. We've seen everything you've done. Brother, what are you talking about? What have I done? It's all Regina's doing. Jessica looked at him, bewildered. I'm not going to waste my breath on this anymore. Paul had long since run out of patience. He had been waiting to lay everything out in the open, without another word. He turned on the TV and cast the videos from his phone to the screen. Jessica, still confused, had no idea what Paul was doing, until, on the TV screen, the footage of her slapping herself in the face that day appeared. I could see the color drain from Jessica's face. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. She couldn't fathom that the secret thing she did would suddenly show up on the TV. How is this here? What is this? Jessica's face turned red, then white, her embarrassment palpable. No one in the family responded to her. They were all watching as the next footage showed her deliberately tumbling down the stairs. And no, it's not like that. Jessica panicked. She couldn't comprehend how they had these videos. Stop it. Stop it. Jessica was thoroughly scared now. Her face had turned pale. You can't handle this already? Paul sneered. There's something even more shocking. Chapter 11. At the same time, the screen displayed footage of Jessica in the dead of night, smothering Keddy, her beloved cat, in her arms. As she suffocated Keddy, her face showed no remorse. No matter how Keddy struggled, Jessica didn't soften. Her expression was full of cruelty, truly displaying what it means to be vile. No, It's not like that. It's not. Jessica shook her head, shaking it furiously. She wanted to explain, but no words came out. My adoptive parents showed no mercy, their eyes cold as they watched her fall apart. Jessica, got nothing to say? Paul asked her. Did you all do this on purpose? Jessica broke down and asked us. At that moment, I couldn't help but admit, she had strong nerves. Anyone else, exposed in this way, would be overwhelmed with shame, but she still managed to act indignant. Did you do this to humiliate me? Did you film these videos just so I'd have no place in this house? If you didn't want me back, why bring me here? Why take me back into this family? I'll leave. I'll go die somewhere else. Jessica cried out, preparing to storm out. No one tried to stop her. Jessica walked a few steps, then stopped and turned around. You did this on purpose, didn't you? You recorded everything to set me up. You can't wait for me to be kicked out so you can be the only daughter left in this house. How can you be so selfish? She glared at me, accusingly. The house has had cameras long before you ever came here. Jessica, Regina never set you up. You still don't understand what you've done wrong? You did all these disgusting, shameful things, and you still have the audacity to blame others. Paul's face turned red with anger. Don't you have any shame? Jessica couldn't find the words to respond. Let me make this clear. We all know exactly what kind of person Regina is. Even if there weren't cameras, we would never believe she'd do anything like this. All you've done is humiliate yourself. Paul's anger grew stronger with every word. He was clearly devastated to realize that his own sister could behave like this. If you want to leave, then go. We'll just act like we never found you. Paul's voice was ice cold. Jessica looked at Paul, then turned to our parents. They remained silent, their faces set in stone, unwavering in their decision. Finally, Jessica was scared. She realized that our parents were serious. In an instant, her demeanor changed again. She began wailing. Dad, Mom, brother, sister. I was wrong. I was wrong. I saw the disgust on my parents' faces. There was no pity for her. I know I was wrong. I was just so scared you wouldn't like me. So I did all those shameful things. I love this family so much. That's why I acted like that. But I understand now. I was wrong. Please don't abandon me. Where would I go if you kicked me out? If I go back to that place, I'll surely be beaten to death. Jessica's desperate pleas did nothing to soften our parents. They remained as cold as ever. With a heavy thud, Jessica fell to her knees in front of me. Sister, please forgive me. Tell Mom and Dad not to kick me out. Please. Stop putting pressure on her. Paul stood protectively in front of me. Don't try to manipulate Regina with guilt. You need to face the consequences of your actions. Chapter 12. Jessica clung to Paul's leg, crying out, Brother, I can't leave this family. I know I was wrong. I truly know now. Dad, Mom, please give me another chance. Paul kicked her off. Without hesitation, Jessica immediately threw herself at our adoptive parents' feet. I will never treat my sister like that again. Please forgive me this time, okay? Dad, Mom, I promise I won't do it again. Please don't make me leave. The living room was filled with Jessica's heart-wrenching cries. Seeing her appear so regretful and heartbroken, our adoptive parents reluctantly allowed her to stay. However, after everything that had happened, there was a clear distance between Jessica and our adoptive parents. For a while, they treated her with cold indifference. Jessica seemed to realize that she had truly disappointed them. She became much more well-behaved, and no longer acted so arrogantly toward me. Just as our family was starting to let go of our suspicions and prepare to fully accept her again, she stirred up trouble once more. We soon learned that some people really never change. On the evening of my birthday, Jessica told me she had prepared a surprise for me and asked me to go out for a while. I remained cautious of her. Her sudden change of attitude only made me more suspicious. So, before I left, I told Paul, who was even more distrustful of Jessica than I was, didn't hesitate to say, Jessica's up to no good for sure. Don't worry, you go ahead. I'll follow you and see what disgusting thing she's planning this time. Okay. I followed Jessica's directions and left the house. Going to the place she mentioned, it was a dark alley. If I hadn't known my brother was following me, I would never have come here, Regina. Suddenly, I heard Jessica's voice. I turned my head and saw her standing about a meter in front of me, with a burly, dark-skinned man beside her. The man looked vaguely familiar, but I couldn't quite place him. You're really stupid to actually come here. Huh? Jessica sneered with satisfaction. I looked at her warily. What do you mean? What do I mean? You really thought I accepted you? That's hilarious. How could I ever accept someone who stole my family and my life? Jessica spat angrily. How many times do I have to tell you? I didn't steal anything from you. Your being kidnapped had nothing to do with me, and we could easily be a family. A family? If you really consider me family, would you have slapped me in the face like that last time? Do you know how much I wanted to die at that moment? But I couldn't die. I had to get revenge. Because of you. They treated me that way. Jessica spat venomously. We only did what we did to stop you from making more mistakes. What's wrong with wanting you to correct them? I was truly speechless. After all this time, Jessica still hadn't shown an ounce of remorse. If anything, she had become even more delusional. I never did anything wrong from the start. You should never have come into my family. You should have just left. Jessica screamed. Jessica, shut up. Jessica sneered coldly. She turned to the man standing beside her, saying, Victor, didn't you say you didn't have a wife when I left? Well, here's a wife for you now. Aren't you going to take her? Who is he? I asked, alarmed, as the man began to approach me. Chapter 13. Jessica's smile grew more sinister. Didn't I tell you before? You stole 18 years of my happiness. So now you deserve to suffer the way I did for those 18 years. And now you will. I turned and bolted. At that moment, I realized who Victor was. He was the son of the family Jessica had been sold to when she was kidnapped. I had once accidentally seen a photo of him on my adoptive parents' phone. I couldn't believe how evil Jessica had become. She actually wanted me to live the miserable life she had endured. I could hear the footsteps behind me getting closer. There was no way I could outrun him. Just as Victor was about to catch me, Paul suddenly appeared, shielding me protectively. Victor glared at Paul and growled, Get out of my way. Jessica noticed Paul too. She hadn't expected him to be there. She panicked immediately, turning around to flee, trying to distance herself from the situation. But as soon as she turned, suddenly, a police car appeared behind us. Several police officers quickly subdued Jessica and the man. Let me go! Let me go! Why are you arresting me? Jessica struggled incessantly under the grip of the police. Paul and I stood there, coldly watching her, no longer feeling a shred of sympathy. Brother, help me! I'm your real sister. You can't do this to me. Tell them to let me go. Jessica, unable to break free, started pleading with Paul. I don't have a despicable sister like you. Brother, I know I was wrong. I really do. Jessica immediately admitted her fault. Pitiful and pathetic. I won't do it again. I swear. Please help me. I don't want to go to jail. Paul coldly responded. Jessica, if I still believed you, I wouldn't have called the police. What happens next will be up to the court's decision. No, brother. Please don't. I really know I was wrong. Please don't do this to me. I'm your real sister. I won't ever do it again. I promise. Jessica and the man were both taken away by the police. When my adoptive parents learned what had happened, they didn't plead for Jessica's case, nor did they ask me, as the victim, to forgive her in court. In the end, Jessica was sentenced to 3 years in prison for attempted kidnapping. I don't know if these 3 years will be enough for her to change, to truly reflect on her mistakes, and start anew. What I do know is that as long as one remains sincere and kind, genuine affection will never be destroyed or replaced by anyone.